The following program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395 is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit AbsoluteLoans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information. You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell. Sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to The Money on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 6th show. I'm your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. Thank you for taking time to talk money. It is a great day to talk about finances, and what I'm here for is to help you in all areas of your financing, how to make money, save money, and build a better quality of life for you and your family. I want to say happy 4th of July, a little late to everyone out there. I hope you had a great weekend here in Seattle. I went to Quartermaster Harbor with my husband and some great friends and spent some fun time on the boat. So again, happy 4th belated to everyone. If you're hearing this show at a different time, you're listening to a rebroadcast. I can answer any questions, or you can connect with me by calling into the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And line up in studio today, Sam DeBord with Coldwell Banker Danforth, all about buyers in today's competitive real estate market and how to navigate through the process and actually get your offer accepted in this crazy environment that we're having. Also in studio, Judy Clibborn State Representative.Glad to have Judy back in studio to talk about transportation. It was just back in April that we had you in, Judy. So excited to have you back in studio so soon. And also Geoff Patrick, Media Relations and Public Information Manager at Sound Transit. It's been way too long, Geoff, since we've had you, and it was back in like 4 years ago, I think I had you in studio. So happy to have Geoff back to talk about some updates of what happened with Sound Transit. Great information and great guest again in studio. For more information on any topics discussed, please call into the show, 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And again, if you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, but I would love to connect you with any of the guests that I have in studio and answer any questions that you have. So you can also reach me online at themoneyhour.com. And let's go ahead and go into a little money chat.
Money.
I want to talk a little bit about regulators preparing lenders for HELOC transition. There was a lot of home equity line of credits that were taken out on properties when there's a little more equity that they had available. Now we're getting some of that equity back, but as we're building equity back, the HELOCs are a lot of them are nearing the end of their draw period. So on a HELOC, it's a dwelling secured line of credit against their home. Second mortgage, which provides majority of them are based on interest-only payments. And at the end of that term, when that term ends and they can't draw on the line of credit anymore, they're actually in a position that they need to pay that back in a balloon payment, or their payments are going to drastically go up. Now, most HELOCs that I know of, are almost all of them are on balloon payments. So if you took out a home equity line of credit and you've been making those minimum payments, which are interest only, there's going to be a substantial amount of money that you're going to have in a balloon payment, which means that it's due right now. So the Federal Reserve Office of Comptroller of Currency, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, National Credit Union Administration, along with the Conference of State Bank Supervisors, acknowledge that both financial institutions and borrowers may be facing some challenges when that time for that HELOC or that home equity line of credit is ending its term. So they're coming up with some guidelines, and the guidance issued describes core operating principles governing management oversight on HELOCs during the period and describes components of risk management. It also highlights concepts related to financial reporting for HELOCs. So regulatory agencies, examiners will review financial institutions' end of the draw risk management programs to provisions addressing risk management principles. So financial institutions need to implement policies and procedures for managing HELOCs as they draw on the period of that draw time ends. Regulators expect risk management procedures to include a clear understanding of scheduled end of draw exposure and identification of high risk segments. That's the first one. Second, a full understanding of the end of the draw contract provisions. So transitions issuing such as payment changes, amortization options, debt consolidation options, and payment processes should be considered in the service systems and how they're going to evaluate that. Evaluation of near-term risk, accounts that have already had draws suspended because of borrower performance or collateral value issues warrant attention. So management should also evaluate borrowers making only the contractual minimum interest-only payments to assess their ability to make the larger payments that will be required. Fourth, provisions for contacting borrowers through outreach program well before the scheduled end of the draw period comes into place. Now, fifth, ensuring the refinancing, renewal, workout, and modification programs are consistent with regulatory guidance and expectations, including consumer protection laws and regulations. So really in a position to have modifications available, kind of like they've done with a lot of the first mortgages when consumers or homeowners ran into some financial issues. And if they're in a position that they can warrant and prove that they're in distress and can't make those payments, they were doing modifications on the first mortgage. So I think we're going to see a lot of that happening with your home equity line of credits. So again, if there's been some change of circumstances in your financial situation that you have not recovered from, and you're not in a position to come up with this large sum of money because you're in a balloon payment, or maybe if those payments are drastically going up and you can't afford it, with the proper documentation and going through the modification department with your bank, hopefully you'll be in a position to get that adjusted and make it to where it's in a position that you can afford to keep that HELOC at the lower payments and not have to make that balloon payment and not put yourself in a financial distress situation. So they're just really trying to help consumers that might have been in a position that they weren't expecting this transition to come with their home equity line of credits and help you to get out of this situation, because otherwise you're in a risk of losing your home. If you can't honor the commitment on a second mortgage that's attached to the property, then that would cause issues and could cause a foreclosure on your home. So it's great that they're looking out and really trying to protect this, as well as protect the lenders and issues that they may be having. So I think we're going to see a lot of the government backing like we did on the first mortgages to help as these HELOCs are becoming due as well. If you have any questions or need assistance in this arena, please feel free to give the show a call. Again, it's 1-855-400-1150. It's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And even on that note, if you're having concerns about your first mortgage, I know there's a lot of things that are coming up with adjustable rate mortgages as well that are becoming due, and really great interest rates right now in refinancing on an adjustable rate mortgage to get into a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. What you don't want to do is you don't want to miss out on that opportunity, because a lot of adjustable rate mortgages are going down because of where the LIBOR, a lot of you would probably be on a 12-month LIBOR index right now. Not to be fooled by that, because it's just fixed for another year before it's going to readjust again. So you may want to really consider taking advantage of the 30-year fixed rate mortgages if you're planning to staying in your property. Anything regarding mortgage, that is my arena. That's what I do day in and day out when I'm not here sharing information on a weekly basis on the radio show. So feel free to contact me and connect with me with anything that I might be able to assist you with. And coming up next on the Money Hour, don't miss out on your dream home ownership because you've missed out on the opportunity available in today's real estate market. Very excited to talk with Sam DeBord with Coldwell Banker Danforth right here on 1150 AM KKMW after this short break.
Mortgage fraud has been rampant since 2007. Many folks don't know they have legal rights. Find out if your mortgage loan has wrongdoings and fraud. Magnum Law Group will do a free audit of your loan documents. Facing foreclosure? Need to stop a foreclosure sale? Magnum Law Group can help. We have experts with valuable knowledge, and we get results. Have you decided to short sale your property instead of a foreclosure? Magnum Law Group has the experience to negotiate better and faster for you. Call us today at 425-454-4300 or visit MagnumLawGroup.com. That's MagnumLawGroup.com.
Hi, this is Deborah with Magnum Law Group. Please contact us at 425-454-4300. You can visit our website at www.magnumlawgroup.com or call us at 425-454-4300.
In today's competitive real estate market, buyers who are a day late miss out. The national real estate websites are often 2 to 3 days late with their new listings. Even worse, they're missing up to 30% of the Seattle market's listings. To be a competitive buyer, you need direct access to MLS listings the first day they're available. SeattleHome.com updates every day with 100% of agent-listed properties in the Northwest MLS. That means you'll always see the newest listings first. Don't miss out on that perfect home. Find it today on SeattleHome.com.
This is Sam DeBord, Managing Broker with Seattle Homes Group and Coldwell Banker Danforth. Contact us anytime at 206-552-8820 or online at SeattleHome.com. Again, that's 206-552-8820 or SeattleHome.com.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 6th show. I'm here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, but you can always call into the show at 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And if you're in this real estate craziness right now, and especially as a buyer, you definitely will not want to miss this segment. And even as a seller, getting the advice from a top representative in the real estate arena is a real benefit that I can provide all of you. So I'm happy to have Sam DeBord with Coldwell Banker Danforth here to discuss our local real estate market with a scoop and what's happening out there. Thanks, Sam, so much for coming into studio today.
Thanks for having me on the show, Tina. Excited to be here.
And a little background about Sam. Sam is director for Seattle King County Realtors. And I want to put a shout out for SCAR because we actually got media. The show got media of the year last year, so thank you so much. If you had anything to do with that, Sam.
I'll take credit for it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And State Director for Washington Realtors, which thank you for that because I got Partner of the Year last year from Washington Realtors.
Well done.
Yeah. And he's a managing broker with Coldwell Banker Danforth, and his team, Seattle Homes Group, sells real estate across the greater Seattle region, and they're leveraging technology for their clients with the most popular local agent website, SeattleHome.com and SeattleCondo.com. So again, Sam, it's really exciting to have you sit across the desk from me here in studio and just talk about real estate. So let's go ahead and go open it up. And has the inventory crunch started to lighten up as expected, or are there things continuing to be tight out there?
It really does continue to be tight. We saw a lot of reports over the last year that we thought, we'd see some more sellers on the market. We'd see some more availability for buyers. And really none of that's come to fruition. Really in a balanced market, we'd be looking at 4 or 5 months of inventory, really sort of balancing buyers and sellers. We've had less than 2 months of inventory in Seattle and Bellevue since January. So we saw that a lot of last year. And we thought we were coming out of it in the winter, and it's come right back to where it was before. So we see some new listings come on every month. Just as many buyers are competing for those, and we just can't get above 2 months right now.
So are you seeing, are there different reasons, Sam, for that? I mean, you said last year we were dealing with the same issue last year as we are now. Are the reasons different, or what are the issues that are causing this?
Well, there are a lot of prognosticators with a lot of ideas, but there are a lot of things that really build into it, a lot of small factors. The biggest thing people point to is the employment market is just that good here. A lot of people are relocating, and as you increase the buyer pool of well-paid people moving to the area, it just increases the competition for local buyers. So a lot of local buyers are doing very well too, though. As the employment market is good, people get raises, people get new jobs. And there was a lot of pent-up demand for a few years. People were just really worried about real estate for a long time.
Yeah.
And as those folks have come back into the market and new people have moved from other areas, it's just really creating this cluster of buyers circling homes at this point. So it kind of creates a paradox for sellers right now where they see prices going up. They think that their home price is going to go up, and maybe they ought to wait until it gets to whatever price they were back at the peak, maybe 2007. But frankly, the vast majority of sellers are also going to be buyers. And if you're staying in the same market and your home goes up 10%, you're going to buy another home that's gone up 10% in the meantime. So
Sure.
the real focus that I think a lot of sellers are missing out on why they're not listing is that the financing rates are going to be everything to them. The affordability, the buying power, with today's rates at 4 or 5%, whatever they happen to be, you're going to buy a bigger home for your money if you can get into the financing rates now. So a seller who is thinking about selling in the next few years, this is probably the best opportunity for them in terms of their buying power.
And that's, it's interesting, Sam. It will be interesting to see when rates go up, because it's not if they go up, it's when they go up.
Sure.
We would have thought they would have gone up a lot quicker than they have, but when they get there, it's going to be even more challenging because these sellers are going to have really awesome interest rates. So it may not make as much sense when you're at a 6-7% interest rate environment to buy, to sell and buy up. So definitely, if you're a seller out there right now, now's the time to do it. You can get amazing interest rates that you may never be able to get again. And you've got a massive amount of people, buyers, that want to buy because they want those interest rates too. So when we shift back to the buyers, Sam, what should a buyer do to keep on top of the local market with the inventory being so low?
Sure. Well, the biggest thing they're going to have to do is be flexible right now. It's not the old market where you could schedule your agent for 10 days from now to go see 12 homes.
Sure.
New homes come on the market. Really, most of the markets we're seeing, at least close in Seattle, Bellevue sort of markets, we're seeing homes come on the market maybe Thursday of a week, and the next week on Tuesday or maybe on Monday at 5 o'clock, they're going to review all the offers. So buyers have to come in that weekend. They have to see it within the first couple of days, evaluate whether it's the right property for them or not, and make a strong offer by that Monday or Tuesday. That's really important, where you're finding your listings, how quickly you can find the listings, how quickly your agent can get you out there to see properties, really makes a difference. And you have to make it a priority if you're going to compete with a lot of other folks who are making it their priority right now.
Yeah. So if a buyer's listening, Sam, explain why the seller agent is advising the seller to hold and wait for a few days before they're looking at all these offers.
They want you to pay more.
They want all those offers.
And frankly, it is one of the best organized ways to get a lot of buyers into, we'll call them bidding wars, but honestly, it's just a multiple offer situation. Most of the times that we're seeing in the market, most of the time, it's done well. It's done in a professional way. It's not multiple rounds. It's simply everybody submit your offers on the same day at the same time. You've all got 5 days to take a look. And it's very organized. It is a little bit dog eat dog, but frankly, it gives everybody a chance to see the property and get in there. So
and
it's
in
good
your
exposure.
arena for the MLS, I mean, you guys have to do that. They call it appropriate exposure, or what is that for the sellers? I mean, you've got to give it time for them to be able to market that home, right?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, pre-marketing's not even allowed in our market here if it's going to be an MLS listing. So that sort of levels the playing field. But we all know as real estate agents that the vast majority of sellers want to get maximum exposure.
Of course.
And that's coming from real estate agents and the internet. So if you're putting your property out there for all the agents and on the internet at the same time, you're going to find the most number of buyers and at the same time the most competitive buyers, because they've got a few days to make a decision, and they'll make a strong decision if they feel like writing an offer.
Makes sense. So Sam, you're talking about internet. I mean, we know every consumer out there is online looking at homes, and maybe they're peeking around even before they pick up the phone and call you. So what are the best sources that they should be doing online?
Sure, and this is actually sort of counterintuitive for a lot of people, because we live in the land of Zillow, and the big websites, these big national websites, they have amazing stats and graphs and a lot of things on them. But the way the real estate industry is structured, they don't have a lot of the listings a lot of the time, and the ones they do have often show up late. So they're great advertising portals, but real estate brokers and agents actually have faster listings and more listings on their websites. And in a competitive market, that makes all the difference. So you'll see the last couple studies came out, showed national sites like Zillow had 20 or 30% less listings than MLS sites locally.
Wow.
And that's because new homes come on the market, they sell within a week. If that syndicated listing hasn't made it to this big national site yet, it never shows up.
Exactly.
So really, obviously, we push SeattleHome.com because it's our site. We've been online for 20 years. But whoever your agent is, whoever your brokerage is, whatever you feel like using, make sure you're using an MLS site so you can see homes the first day they come on the market and really know that they're active and available.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And you have to really, and I can't say how many times I've said in this show, in this environment, especially of working with an agent that has a strong reputation in the local market like you do, Sam, because there's another agent on the other side, and you guys are really working together as a team to partner, and it just makes all the difference in the multiple offer situation. So if you're listening to the show right now and you're thinking at all of possibly being a home buyer or even selling your property, pick up the phone, give my show a call, 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or online at themoneyhour.com, because I am talking one of the best in our local market, and he can definitely assist and help you. So Sam, what mistakes do you see that buyers are making or missing out on?
A lot of it has to do with aggressiveness right now. We've sort of had a line going around our team lately that everybody has to lose once. Everybody thinks they're going to get a great deal, and everybody wants to offer a few bucks less than the list price. And there are times when that's possible in this market. It may be homes that have been on the market for a while, but we're seeing the last month's stats showed about 101.5% was the sale to list price ratio on average for our market. So the average seller is getting more.
Well, that seems
even
kind of low than what I thought.
Well, you've got a lot of those outliers that are much higher than that. Yeah,
Got
absolutely. And you've got the closings that happen a month or two down the road. But if they close on the first weekend, they are always at list price or higher.
Okay.
And so for a buyer to be able to mentally get over the idea that they've got some sort of extra control in this market, there are a few things they can do strategy-wise, but just be realistic about it and realize if you're going to write an offer, be aggressive, get in, and you're going to be at list price or higher. And if you're okay with that fact, you're going to be a lot better with your offer strategy.
Of course. So the sense of urgency for a buyer, getting out and looking at the home, what do you say?
Yeah, well, and also getting out and seeing lots of homes, because in this situation, you have to realize there are maybe 12 offers coming in on a property. Maybe it's 4, but in every one of those situations, one buyer wins and the other ones all go shopping again. So having the mindset that we're going to see a lot of properties, I'm not going to rule everything out except for one home every time I go out to see them. And frankly, sometimes there are spots where buyers are in a situation where a neighborhood has very similar properties. They may have a lot of homes that would all be good for them. And in the right situation, not all situations, but in some appropriate situations, you can write offers on more than one home at the same time, knowing that you'll rescind the offers that you don't get right away. But if there are multiple homes that you like, that's one of the few ways buyers can kind of pull back some of that power of the strategy from sellers in this market.
So, Sam, what about advice that you're giving for buyers regarding financing? In my arena, what are you telling them?
Sure. It's a huge component. Offer price is obviously the first thing that sellers look at. But in terms of them debating which offer is better, the sellers really want to know how much they're going to get and whether or not it's going to close.
Yes.
And a buyer who comes in with an offer they have an approval letter from a warehouse online somewhere. They just don't have as much trust. Their agent doesn't have as much trust as a pre-approval from a local lender who the people know and they know they closed transactions. So having a strong pre-approval and having it from a local lender with a name and a face really does make a difference. And that's what counts for sellers right now. Yeah,
huge. And in all areas, on the real estate side and the lending side, it's all a teamwork that we have here.
Sure.
And we're all working together as a team to make sure it's efficient and the process runs smoothly. So, Sam, one secret strategy that you can help my buyers that are listening right now to win in a multiple offer situation.
That personalized buyer letter, as cheesy as it may sound, it works. I have listing agents call me back and say, I'm shocked, but my sellers said they read your letter, and if your buyers would like to increase their offer to match our best offer, which is higher than yours, we'll give it to them. Now, this is, a situation. They have to prove they've got other offers, but this happens when pricing is close, when we're within a few $1,000s. A lot of times sellers will look at who the person is and think about whether they're going to close, but also who would they like to have their home in a few years. And it just really does make a difference, as silly as it sometimes seems.
And you as a buyer, it may seem silly until you put yourself in the seller's position. Imagine this is your home that you raised your family in, and you've got all of those memories. You want somebody to take over that home that you can emotionally connect to. So emotions come in no matter how you look at it. And so that's awesome advice. What do you think about the loan officer calling and the listing agent?
Oh, I think it's great if the loan officer can talk to the listing agent. Most of the time in this market, the listing agents are going to call the lender already, but in some cases they don't. And that's just that confidence factor that it adds. And if you can be proactive about that, they know you've got a well-organized team working with you. They're going to exude that confidence back to their sellers when they present the offer to the sellers. So it definitely makes a difference.
Makes total sense. Sam, thank you so much for coming in. I know that you're a busy guy, run an amazing team, an amazing book of business, and I just appreciate you taking your quality time to come in and share your wealth of information with my listeners.
Glad to be on. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay. And coming up next on the Money Hour, what's happening with transportation? Judy Clibborn, State Representative, right here in the studio on 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.
Mortgage fraud has been rampant since 2007. Many folks don't know they have legal rights. Find out if your mortgage loan has wrongdoings and fraud. Magnum Law Group will do a free audit of your loan documents. Facing foreclosure? Need to stop a foreclosure sale? Magnum Law Group can help. We have experts with valuable knowledge, and we get results. Have you decided to short sale your property instead of a foreclosure? Magnum Law Group has the experience to negotiate better and faster for you. Call us today at 425-454-4300 or visit magnumlawgroup.com. That's magnumlawgroup.com.
Hi, this is Deborah with Magnum Law Group. Please contact us at 425-454-4300. You can visit our website at www.magnumlawgroup.com or call us at 425-454-4300.
Hi, I'm State Representative Judy Clibborn. I represent the 41st Legislative District, which includes Mercer Island, Newcastle, and parts of Bellevue, Issaquah, and Sammamish. I am also the chair of the House Transportation Committee, which means that I have a lead role in deciding how our highway dollars are spent. We are facing many challenges as a state, from fixing up roads and bridges to fully funding our schools, and I want to hear from you about how we can tackle these tough issues. If you have a question or concern about your state government, please get in touch. You can reach my office by calling 360-786-7926 or emailing me at judy.clibborn@leg.wa.gov. I hope to hear from you soon.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 6th show. I bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything money, and I'm here to help you in today's economy. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast. To talk with myself or any of the guests that I have in studio, please pick up the phone, give the show a call at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And we have amazing guests, amazing segments in studio today. If you miss any of the show, feel free online. You can listen to any of the podcast, search any guest that has information that you want more content on, and you can pull up their individual segments. And right now in studio, I have Judy Clibborn, State Representative, here to talk about transportation. Judy, thank you so much for coming back in studio.
Thank you, Tina. It's always a pleasure to come.
Well, and it's always a pleasure for my listeners because this is a big topic, especially in our area here talking about transportation. Just a little background on Judy. State Representative, has been a resident of Mercer Island for 45 years. She was mayor of Mercer Island for 4 years, city councilwoman from 1990 to 2001, and executive director of the Mercer Island Chamber of Commerce. Her current House Committee key assignments are transportation chair and health and care and wellness. Her legislative priorities are creating a sound transportation system that protects trade-dependent businesses throughout the state and keeps Washington's economy globally competitive, continuing to increase job opportunities for working families and ensuring adequate health care and coverage and accessibility to Washingtonians. Wow. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that you're responsible for, Judy, and just, helping a lot of us here in the Seattle area be a little bit more happy.
Well, I do my best, and it's something I think everybody's interested in, so it's good to put my work shoulder into all that.
It definitely is,
yes.
and I love having your segment in my library that I can share with people after the show. So, Judy, what's the most important issue in transportation right now?
Well, as we probably have been hearing over the last couple of years, we've been working to put a revenue package together so that we would have new revenue. And I think that this is going to be a year where that might not be as obvious because the big topic of conversation now is education. And when people get caught up in some other kind of conversation, we have a problem doing more than one thing.
Well, there's no such thing as multitasking. I know that.
Not in Olympia, but it is still an issue, and I think that they go together. I think if you're in any kind of business, you understand that transportation is what connects us. It's not just about jobs; it's about the economic development that goes with the transportation, and whether it's roads or rail or light rail, since we have another guest here.
Yes.
I think these are all so critical to our state, and it is the whole state, not just this Puget Sound region, although we do have our special things here.
Of course.
Yes.
So, Judy, why do we need more gas tax or other transportation revenue when we have such a high gas tax already?
I always have to explain this because I think there are very few people who understand that even though we pay a high gas tax here, other states don't have, they often use their general fund to help pay for their transportation. So we don't do that here. And so we have to have the gas tax be enough to pay for all of our projects. What really bothers people is that they think they're paying in now and they wonder where it goes.
Yes.
Well, I'm paying this high gas tax. Where is it going?
So where is it going?
And it is right now going to finish off 421 projects that were promised starting in 2003 and 2005.
So that's exciting.
It's bonded. And so for the next 25 years, that gas tax will go to pay off bonds.
Okay.
And that makes that means that we have no revenue for anything new.
Yeah. So and that's not a good thing. We need to have a little money.
Well, there's an ongoing need. I know that people hear about things that they want to know why we're building a tunnel when we could be doing something else. The tunnel was promised in the 5 cents that was passed in 2005. So that's how long it takes projects to get going and to get finished. So we now have 12 years without any new revenue. And if we don't have new revenue, then we can't have projects like 167 and 509 that keeps ports open.
Yeah.
And the projects that are important in
Spokane. Being in I do the mortgage side, not the real estate side, but I'm in that community, and it's important for our economy to be able to have good transportation, and it's going to make everybody, everybody are happier, be able to make decisions on where they want to work and make it convenient and save money. So, Judy, why should we put more revenue into Washington State Department of Transportation when all we hear about is mismanagement?
I know. And I think it's really easy to sell papers when you have something that's going on that people want to read about. They're very curious about having the largest tunnel boring machine in the world, at least for the next month or so. And the fact that it is stuck is a reflection that they think there is mismanagement at DOT. But the problem is that we have hired someone to do that. And so DOT has hired a tunnel partnership who bought a tunnel boring machine from Hitachi. That tunnel boring machine is still on warranty. Yeah. They will fix it. It is a drag to have it sitting there, and I think it is very difficult for people to remember that even though the tunnel is not boring, there are still 400 people working on the tunnel project on each end.
Yeah, wow.
So it will, at some point within the next year, it will get restarted. It will finish, and when it's done, I think people will be shocked at how much it's appreciated.
Yeah. So, Judy, what about the climate change issues that we've been talking about?
You know, this is something that's just come up in the last part of the last session, and then the governor just came out and made his executive order to move this whole issue forward. It has impacts in many different areas, but I think in transportation, since transportation is identified as one of the largest drivers of climate impact, then we stand to come into some way that people will want to change how we use transportation. So when I talked to the governor, and he has a task force that's going forward, and we will be following along, and there are some things that I think are really popular and that people will like switching to more fuel-efficient cars, or using alternative vehicles, electric vehicles, and having alternative fuels. That's going to be not too hard. I think things that will be a little more troublesome for people to understand, including myself, will be the impacts of if you tried to do cap and trade, or you do some kind of carbon tax. Those are things that people don't understand, and I think it'll take a lot of learning for all of us, including the legislature. I don't see this going forward with a wholesale just swoop down and get a whole bunch of things done.
Yeah.
But I know that there are things that we're already doing, because electric vehicles, we're one of the highest electric vehicle use states in the nation.
I didn't realize that. Wow. Congratulations to us.
Yeah. And the other thing that does, of course, is it decreases the amount of gas tax that comes in. And so that's another reason why we're going to have to make sure that we have more gas tax.
Yeah. So Judy, can you explain to our listeners what can happen if we don't do anything?
Well, I think that we have to maintain what we have, and this has been a very difficult time to decide whether you go out for a small package. I think there's been some talk of, say, a 3-cent gas tax that goes just for maintenance and preservation. If you use the roads, you understand that they're getting pretty worn out, and the bridges, if we don't keep them up, we have to close them or waitlist them, and that is huge.
Devastating.
It's devastating to our economy, and I know that people who are in your business, because I talk to people in real estate all the time, people are deciding where they're going to live.
Oh yeah,
because of congestion and because of the way they have to use the roads at different times, and it just it makes your decisions. It does impact your decisions that you make. So if we don't, then I know we're going to have more congestion.
Yep.
I think that there will be fewer things that we can do to keep the economy going, and it concerns me that we don't look like we can get this done, because it reflects on our government that we can't make a decision and actually move forward.
Well, what about King County? When you went to the voters for Transit and County roads, since it didn't pass, what now? So
King County has its own funding, which they went out and they asked. And so it really isn't an impact to the state as much as they provide a lot of level of service. Not just the state provides service in transportation. So definitely they have the transit side. And that, I think, has been interesting. The other transit agencies, when 695 passed, which was the first Iman initiative, that used to serve all the pay. It paid for all transit. The state had a pretty big payment that they gave to transit service. That was eliminated. And so we have not, what we did is we gave the transit agencies the sales tax. They have a part of the sales tax that they can use. The other transit agencies, because we had the recession, it was really low. The other transit agencies all announced that they were going to make cuts, but they came back, and in some cases, they even increased their service. In King County, I think we're going to have to, I think they will get together. They will look at how they can use their dollars that are coming in now at a higher rate. and they have to get real about what they can do. The suburbs have not seen an increase in their service because Seattle has the density. But one of the things that I think would be interesting when Sound Transit gets to talk is this new effort that the county executive, who is the chair of Sound Transit, who is also the county executive in charge of Metro Transit, is saying, how could we work together? How can we make this a more efficient system?
Yeah.
If Sound Transit is supposed to be the trunk, then let the spokes be Metro. And we had always envisioned that as the way that would work. So even though the state may not have a huge way of helping at this point because we haven't been able to pass any revenue, I think that there are things that by working together, we will be able to have better transit. And
everything's better.
Together.
Everything's better working together, without a doubt. Judy, I've got just a second here with you before I got to take a break. Just really quickly, who's going to pay for the tunnel?
Who's going to pay for the tunnel?
Yes.
The tunnel is going to be paid for through the large project budget that we have with multiple layers of contingency. And the thing, maybe I should clarify that the only thing that I know who won't pay for the tunnel is the city of Seattle. So it will be done by the state.
Wonderful. Judy, thank you again so much for coming back in studio, and we'll have to definitely have you back soon.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Coming up next in the Money Hour, what's in the pipeline for Sound Transit? Great conversation coming up with Geoff Patrick, Media Relations and Public Information Manager at Sound Transit, right here on 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.
Mortgage fraud has been rampant since 2007. Many folks don't know they have legal rights. Find out if your mortgage loan has wrongdoings and fraud. Magnum Law Group will do a free audit of your loan documents. Facing foreclosure? Need to stop a foreclosure sale? Magnum Law Group can help. We have experts with valuable knowledge, and we get results. Have you decided to short sale your property instead of a foreclosure? Magnum Law Group has the experience to negotiate better and faster for you. Call us today at 425-454-4300 or visit magnumlawgroup.com. That's magnumlawgroup.com.
Hi, this is Deborah with Magnum Law Group. Please contact us at 425-454-4300. You can visit our website at www.magnumlawgroup.com or call us at 425-454-4300.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 6th show. Every week I share expert advice and inside knowledge on how today's events in our local economy can affect your money. And if you're listening to my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, you can always call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com to discuss anything regarding money or anything that we've talked about in today's show. And in studio right now, Geoff Patrick, Media Relations and Public Information Manager at Sound Transit. Very excited to talk with you, Geoff, especially after listening to Judy. I think it's a great lineup that we have.
Thanks for having me here.
And background of Geoff Patrick, again, is Media Relations and Public Information Manager at Sound Transit, which serves the more than 40% of Washington's residents who live in the central Puget Sound region. Sound Transit expresses buses, commuter trains, and expanding light rail systems and playing an incredibly crucial role in the region's transportation network. By 2023, Sound Transit is on target to deliver 34 miles of light rail expansions to form a 50-mile system that will significantly expand the capacity of some of the region's most congested transportation corridors. And with the region's population projected to rise 30% by 2040, Patrick is responsible for promoting the public's involvement in shaping where the future ballot measures should further expand transit after current projects are completed in 2023. Again, a lot of responsibility, Geoff, that you guys have over there at Sounds Transit. And I just want to open it up with, what is Sound Transit anyway?
Well, we are here thanks to the Washington State Legislature, so it's a particular honor to be here today with Chair Clibborn. Although I don't think you were a part of the legislature back at that point in the early 1990s when folks were really looking at all the congestion that has been building in our region and has continued to build since then, and looking at the comparable regions around the country and the world and saying, well, why don't we have a mass transit system that includes rail transit here? And so the legislature set the stage for that to occur. And in 1996, the voters of our region formed Sound Transit with a mandate to build light rail, commuter rail, and express buses. And that's what we're doing today. We've got a 18-member board that's formed from elected officials, county council, city council members from around the region, plus the state secretary of transportation. And we've got more than 100,000 riders today, and that's going to keep climbing as we deliver all these expansions you mentioned over the next 10 years.
So, Geoff, what are the expansions in Sound Transit pipeline? Can you talk about those?
Yeah, we've got a great system operating today, but in 2008, the voters of the region said we want a lot more, and so they sent us off with a mission to deliver light rail expansions to the north, south, and east. And so today we've got projects in the development that'll extend light rail from Seattle, where we currently have service between Seattle and the airport, across Lake Washington to Chair Clibborn's home community in Mercer Island, and onto Bellevue and the Redmond area. In the north from downtown Seattle, we're already before that ballot measure had already set in motion the University Link light rail expansion to Capitol Hill and the University of Washington. That project's set to open 6 to 9 months early in early 2016, and is currently somewhere around $150 million under budget. So that's going very well.
Congratulations for being ahead of schedule and under budget. That doesn't happen very often.
We're proud of that.
That's awesome.
We also are building northward to Northgate. That's under construction right now. There'll be more tunnel construction continuing north from UW to Roosevelt, Northgate, and we'll continue northward to Linwood. That project is still in the environmental phase right now, where we're working on establishing alignment. And finally, we are extending light rail south from the airport. We're under construction to the South 200th area, in SeaTac, which is one stop further south, and we've got the funding to further extend light rail to Kent, Des Moines, and all these projects I've just mentioned are set to be completed by 2023. Okay. We do have a dilemma as far as funding to get light rail further south from Kent, Des Moines down to Federal Way. Okay. So what are the timelines for building the projects that are starting passenger service? Okay, so the passenger service all starts in 2023, with the exception that we will complete light rail to, as I said, University of Washington 2016, Northgate 2021. Got it. So how many rides does Sound Transit expect will take advantage of these services? That's a great question. Today, as I mentioned, we've got 100,000 riders, and that's going to dramatically increase as we bring these projects online. We're projected to carry more than 350,000 riders in the Sound Transit system by 2030, which is very, very important. As Chair Clibborn mentioned, this is going to happen through a lot of partnership. We've got a strong partnership with the other local transit agencies, King County Metro Transit, Community Transit, Pierce Transit, and there's a particular amount of focus right now on furthering integration between Sound Transit and King County Metro Transit. King County Executive Dow Constantine is currently chair of the Sound Transit Board, so that's created a unique moment where he is able to lead both those agencies forward, and has set some pretty big challenges for us to look at how to take what is already a fairly efficient partnership where King County is operating many of our buses and our light rail system, and to take that even further and looking at how we can create efficiencies for the public. Exciting. So these projects, what do they mean for the communities they serve? Well, it's being here in the money hour is actually pretty appropriate because, as Chair Clibborn was saying, transportation is hugely linked to our region's future prosperity. We all depend on a transportation system where people can get where they need to go. And as we, go into that, future where, as you mentioned in your intro, we've got 30% more people projected to live in the Puget Sound region by 2040. It's going to be important to figure out how we're going to provide some additional transportation capacity for them. And that's where I think transit can really come into play. Some of the most congested corridors, transit represents the, sort of the most realistic option for significantly expanding capacity there. A light rail line has 4-car trains that operate every 4 minutes in each direction, has the capacity to move 12,000 people an hour in each direction. So that compares pretty favorably to a free lane where, in the best scenario, you've got, maybe a little over 2,000 cars per hour in direction. And so we are really a partner of the state here in trying to figure out how we're going to keep our people and our economy moving in this challenging future.
Oh, challenges always have opportunities with them. And, in radio, it's unfortunate because we don't get the visual. I mean, looking at the visual of some of these projects, it's pretty exciting. So Sound Transit recently began a process to update the regional transit long-range plan. What is this plan, and why does Sound Transit want people to pay attention to it?
Well, it's sort of an interesting moment for us because we've got 9 more years of really heavy construction to complete what voters have already approved, all that more than 30 miles of light rail expansions. But already it's time to start looking beyond that because, Chair Clibborn mentioned that transportation projects have pretty long lead times, and that's certainly the case for mass transit projects as well. Our board... So to have further expansion, these projects will open 2023, and the question is, well, where do we go after that? If we want to have, more mass transit expansions opening, in the 2030s timeframe, that means it's already time to start looking at where we would go. And so last year, the Sound Transit Board kicked off a process to update the Regional Transit Long Range Plan, which is a vision for where transit should go many decades out into the future, and that'll be the basis from which future ballot measures are shaped. Now, the board has started this now because they wanted to preserve the option to go to the ballot in 2016. And so the first step is updating the long range plan, and then the board will decide whether and when to move forward with ballot measures. Okay.
So what about the rail transit and the importance of that?
Well, we've got a public involvement process that's underway right now for updating the long range plan. We've got a series of meetings that are kicking off around the region this week. And so that information is all available on our website at www.soundtransit.org. And rail is a particular focal point in thinking about future expansion. Because what rail does is it offers speed, reliability, and very high capacity to move people. And so when you ask people what their priorities are for transportation and transit in particular, what a lot of people are saying is they want more rail transit. They go to other regions, cities around the country, and they go, why can't we have that here?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're hearing a lot of focus on, and what our board is accordingly putting a lot of focus on.
Okay. So in more of the urban areas, there's a lot of talk about transit development, and what does this refer to?
Transit-oriented development is a recognition of the really important role that mass transit can play in creating livable communities. One of the earlier we touched on the environment and the desire to address climate change, and so much of our emissions from here in Washington State come from the transportation sector, and creating environments where people aren't traveling as much to get where they from home to work is a real opportunity. And so around the country and the globe, you're seeing more and more emphasis on by governments on trying to promote dense, vibrant, really attractive urban neighborhoods where people want to live and where they don't have to commute as far. And so we're putting a lot of focus on trying to foster that. And that, in fact, was part of the vision for Sound Transit the legislature had. They wanted to really try to link transportation investment to growth management and to the kind of future we want to create for our region.
So, Geoff, is to wrap up my time with you here today, give my listeners a call to action. What do you need them to do?
Well, we really want to hear from folks about their priorities for where transit should go in the future after we complete those voter-approved projects. And so if they can go to our website, www.soundtransit.org. We've got options there for them to weigh in as part of this long-range plan update process. They can come to a meeting. They can submit formal comments. We also actually have a very easy-to-do 5-minute online survey where people can tell the Sound Transit Board their priorities for the future.
Wonderful. Geoff, thank you again for coming in. Next time it'll be quicker than 4 years when I have you in studio.
Well, thanks, Tina.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the show today. It's always a pleasure to be here and to share just amazing guests with amazing information. And really, the show is about helping you in this economy and maximize all of the benefits that we have. So again, I just appreciate my guest time today, and I appreciate to all of you listeners out there. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will be back again next weekend right here on 1150 AM KKNW.
The preceding program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395 is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 1454420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit absoluteloans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information.